That room, I mean, I recorded Billy Corgan in that room. I recorded with so many bands, Alice Cooper.
And when you were brought in to do the stuff with Pumpkins, and I mean, you were there to really be a taskmaster too, weren't you?
Yeah. How'd you hear that?
I do my homework.
Wow. Well, I was shocked. When Jimmy got into some trouble, who is a really good friend of mine, a sweetheart of a guy. You know, bands, these things happen, you know. He got into trouble, he got kicked out. And the Pumpkins, so when Jimmy was in trouble, I called him and said, you know, if I'm a huge Pumpkins fan, you know, I'd love to help out. And their big joke was, they said, send me the resume. This is when they had fax machines. Their big running joke was, you tied up our fax machine for 20 minutes. You had so many pages of who you've played with, who you toured with.
I've seen the biography, it's true.
It's ridiculous. So, all of a sudden, 2 years later, I get the call. And the manager had seen me play with Fogerty in New York and decided, they told me afterwards, somebody told me that they decided this Kenny would be good for the band, just to hold it down. Get this band locked in. Right. And you know, a lot of bands go through a period of growth, you know, and they'd had 3 albums, and if you've got, it's a lot of work, you know, 8 years of non-stop. Right. Make a record, put the record out, tour, come back, start another record. It's stressful, and if you've got, whatever your issues are, get exaggerated.
Right.
So if you've got issues, you start drinking way too much.
Right.
It's just typical of rock and roll. It's not a normal schedule. You're on the road for 9 months. You're traveling all the world. It's exciting, but it's a little bit crazy. And then, then you start making money.
Yeah. And
you're on private jets, and all kinds of wacky shit can start happening. So they wanted somebody who's been through this, and I was you know, I'm a real organized and real disciplined person, right. You know, and I don't ever drink before a show. You know, I'm not saying I don't drink after the show, and I'm not saying I didn't have some wild times in my life. You know, I did the rock and roll thing, but never before a show.
Right.
Always took care of business. I was too embarrassed to fuck up, you know, and yeah. But I mean, I auditioned for that thing, and my audition was 30 minutes long. There was only 5 of us. I flew from LA. They told me not to learn the Pumpkin songs, just to whatever. And I got there, and Billy told me to play kind of more textural. We already know how to play hard and fast. Right. Play more trippy. I went, wow, okay. So I did my thing. But eventually, you got to get to a drum beat. You can't just be textures. It's gotta go to somewhere. Billy kind of smiled. I went, well, is it good? Is there anything else you want me to, what can I do to help make that better? He really smiled, and I'm thinking now in hindsight, he thought, oh man, I can work with this guy. We should just do more of the same. So I did more of the same. Next day I got a call.
Nice. Which your background, even before, you know, Mellencamp and everything with University of Indiana, and classical training and all that other stuff that people don't know so much about as well, and which you have a scholarship named after you at that university as well.
Scholarship from the classical training is a long story, but basically I was a self-taught drummer. I'm just playing. There was nobody teaching drums when I grew up. I just self-taught. But the Boston Symphony Orchestra was there in the summer. I saw some kid getting better, another self-taught drummer. He started studying with the Boston Symphony Orchestra percussionist, Arthur Press. So I wanted to do that.
Yeah.
But I went to his house in Boston. It's about a 2-hour bus ride from my house in Western Mass. And he showed up and goes, "What's your name, son?" It's Kenny Aronoff. He says, "What have you prepared for me today?" I went, "Nothing." He said, "Well, do you have a timpani piece for me?" And I went, "No, play timpani." He just kind of scoured at me. "Well, you have a mallet piece? Marimba piece?" I went, "I've never played marimba before." He went, "Well, what do you play?" I went, "Drum set." "Well, come down and play for me." Played about 90 seconds, ripped me off. going over to that pad over there. He basically kicked my ass for about 4 years.
Wow.
You know, I was in that, and it got me into a university. You know, my house, my family, we all went to college, and when it came time to go to college, I decided to go to music school.
Right.
But I wasn't good enough to get into the big schools. So that summer before I did get accepted to University of Massachusetts. They had a music program. It was more educational, but I wanted to be a performance major, which I was.
Mm-hmm.
The teacher accepted me because he said, even though you weren't as good as I'd hoped on marimba and timpani, your drive was so intense, and your ability to learn quickly, as he told me, try this, try that. He thought, I can work with this guy.
Right.
For 4 years. I'm going to make him the baddest ass percussionist. What happened was I was so aggressive and so going after it. That summer, spring, I auditioned to the Aspen School of Music, which is run by Juilliard. Mm-hmm. Now you're getting up to the big summer programs. And by the way, for 4 years I was auditioning to go to Tanglewood, which I had no business going to until I got in my 4th attempt, which is run by Vic Firth. They only take 7 percussionists. It's the #1 student orchestra in the world, probably.
Right.
It's like I worked with Leonard Bernstein, Aaron Copland, Arthur Fiedler. You have no business being there unless you are a bad mofo. And it took me 4 years, but I eventually got in. I was studying with Vic Firth at that point. Anyway, I didn't get into Aspen, or I didn't think I got into Aspen after my freshman year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they say audition on 3 instruments. I auditioned on 4. You know, I always do more.
Right.
You know, multiple percussion, timpani, snare drum, and mallets. And I was very aggressive. You know, people were trying to get me to party all the time, and I was freaking. 'Cause I felt very far behind my freshman year, following conductors, and I wasn't in symphony bands in high school. I didn't even march.
Right.
I just played. I was a jock, and I had rock and roll bands.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got my summer plan. I had a rock band, like an Allman Brothers kind of band. I had lessons with Art Depress. Had a girlfriend. I was all set. I'm just driving home. I went, shit, I forgot my mail. I went back and got it. I got accepted to Aspen.
Wow.
I figured I was like somebody decided not to go, and then I was next in line. 2 weeks later, I'm in Aspen. I'm the worst percussionist there. You look at a picture of all the people that were there,
Mm-hmm.
it's a trip. I was the worst, and I ended up becoming the most visibly famous.
Right.
And it all just from hard work. Just, hard work. Hard work. The teacher there was a professor at Indiana University. Now we're talking about top 3 percussion schools in orchestral music in the country. Juilliard, Indiana, and Eastman. And I said, I want to study with you at IU, Indiana University. He goes, really? I says, yeah, I'm blown away by your mind and your discipline, your focus. You're at a whole nother level of teaching. I've never experienced anything like this. He said, won't you come back in January? I said, nope, I want to audition now, this summer.
Yeah.
He went, really? I went, so I spent 6 weeks preparing an audition
Mm-hmm.
for 4 different faculty members in 4 different departments. That's how IU works.
Wow.
The percussionists can't just get you in. You have to have woodwinds, brass, percussion, strings. I auditioned, got in, and I spent 4 years at Indiana University, which kicked my ass, and I rose from the bottom to the top. I won a concerto competition where I played a violin concerto on marimba with a 60-piece orchestra in the humongous opera hall. I was the main timpanist in my 2nd semester junior year. I mean, I was on my way. I got accepted eventually to the Jerusalem Symphony Orchestra in Quito, Ecuador, and I just went back to rock and roll.
Right. Where your heart was.
That was a huge change. Yeah, my brain told me one thing, my heart dominated.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the other thing. And people, the hard work part, which, I mean, people that have seen you play know how hard you play. And
it's a focus.
The one thing that I've noticed is your eating habits and your training. I know. But no, I mean, it's quite, no, I mean, I say this to people.
Here. See this bread? I won't eat that. Here's a salad. Dressing on the sides because I won't use much.
Right.
Here's a tuna sandwich because they don't have much on the menu tonight.
Right.
But it's gluten-free bread, so no wheat. This is my big splurge. No alcohol, no dessert. Potatoes, but it's got grease on it.
Fried potatoes. How could you go wrong with that?
That's my big splurge. You know? But Today, what I've had,
Mm-hmm.
I had a cup of berries and a vegan protein powder with some green food and coconut milk with coconut oil, not peanut. Coconut oil is better for you, and that will satisfy your appetite. Then, next thing I had was I have a chicken salad with all kinds of vegetables and beets, and then I was hungry on the way to the airport, so I had a gluten-free protein bar, and then on the plane I had a salad, spinach salad, and I had a wrap, and it was a chicken wrap. Wrap has gluten in it, and lots of water. I mean, that's pretty healthy.
But you take care of yourself, I mean, physically, and you talk about that too in some of your instructional videos and stuff, is how you have to prepare yourself as a drummer because of the physical element.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Especially the way I play.
Yes.
Right now, I'm down 10 pounds. It's amazing. My muscle mass is down because I've been lifting as much lately because I've been traveling all. I don't lift on days of a show, and so I had 7 shows last week. I didn't lift, but I will do sometimes 45 minutes of lifting and an hour of cardio in a day. But because I haven't been lifting and doing as much cardio, I changed my diet a little bit, and I actually lost 10 pounds. Which I'm a little bit leaner and meaner, but I kind of dig the way it looks around here. But I want more muscle mass.
Right.
I got all kinds of exercise I can do right here in a hotel room.
Right. But you got to take care of yourself.
You got to.
You have to.
You have to. It's like everybody's heading toward diabetes, heart disease, and cancer. You just are.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. And this fights all that.
Talk about the movie that you're a part of with Al Pacino, correct?
Al Pacino movie. I recorded 2 tracks for the Al Pacino movie called Imagined, and he wanted the band in. He saw as you came. You guys are amazing. I love this stuff. Just talking the way he talked.
Right.
Anyway, we filmed a scene the other day. You're there all day. Filmed a scene, and I'm going back. I'm cutting one day out on this tour, fly back to be in a bigger scene, which is a big live concert hall, with a big audience, and they'll film us, and we'll have a bigger drum set, and it's all high, you go and you bring all kinds of clothes, and they pick the way they see you. They take pictures of you, and they say, we like that, we like that. But I got my look down. They had me send pictures of, okay, we like the glasses, the jewelry, the scarf, the vest.
Right.
They just pick what pants they want me to wear, and out of my own stuff. Yeah, it's really exciting. It's cool
stuff.
I wouldn't usually give a shit about a movie, but it's Al Pacino.
Exactly.
Come on, De Niro, Pacino. I mean, any of those guys, you do it.
It's like the Stones and Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
Right.
There's depth there.
The other thing I want to speak to you about is football. Because I hear somebody I know.
Big 15 Super Bowls I've been to.
Wow.
I'm a big football guy. I like the mental and physical aspect of the sport. It's not all physical. It's extremely brainy.
Right.
One mess up, that center, the guy who hikes the ball, makes one mistake in one game could cost them a game which could put them out of the playoffs. One snap. That center. Not only does he line up, he looks at his defense and he looks at the offensive line coming in and has to tell these guys, you take that, you do that. He not only has to snap the ball at the right number, that the the right signal to the quarterback, but then he has to stand up and deal with 350 pounders coming at him. There could be 2. There's 3 in front of him, or there's 2. Depends how they set up a 4-man line in front. It's like a lot.
In a split second.
In a split second. And these guys can run faster than you and me. And I'm just saying, I mean, it's like, it's a lot to think about. And it's a split. These guys, when an offensive guy pushes off a defense, all he's looking for is 1 foot. To have 1 foot in front of that guy that's all over him trying to get him. And that quarterback has to be able to throw while all this shit's going on in that one little spot. Like, threading a needle. That's what it's gotten to now.
A guy like Peyton Manning.
It's really Peyton Manning. He's Denver now.
So what now?
what I do is I think that to be at the next level I've gotten to for myself is, for me, is I have codes, a code, and as if you put like a commandments, as if you visualize them on the wall, and I live within the codes.
Right.
In other words, like if there's a question, I look to the code, and the code tells me, you made a pact not to do this and not to do this. Like for example, I was a wild motherfucker in the bands, and I used to, you know, be sleeping around, cheating on everybody. Now I have a code, monogamy, you know, and I've done it for quite a long time now. And it's just, this is no question.
Right.
It sounds crazy, but some people might think, well, of course, but you know what? Not in rock and roll, man. It's like I was like living like I was in high school. Like I never got out of high school.
Right.
You know, you have a girlfriend, but you'd have another girlfriend there, another girlfriend there. You'd be flirting with everybody. That's a code. There's other ones I have. You know, honesty, truth, honor. That's why my tattoo says truth and honor on it. It's like I really live by that. Truth to yourself first, and then be able to be truthful to other people. I mean, you don't go up to like your boss and say, you know what, fuck you. You don't. That's being truthful, but you don't lie.
Right.
You don't have to tell them what you think.
You don't have to say it.
Yeah, but you don't. You know, you don't. You're honest with yourself, and it's better just to zip it. You know.
Absolutely.
Anyway, I live my life like, you know, just refining everything, getting it better. I'm not perfect, but I'm getting more and more closer toward perfection in everything.
That's like you're playing, which
it's getting better. It really is getting better. I'm not saying more chop, just wisdom. How much to open the hi-hats? Should I use 15s, 14s?
Right. That's wonderful. I want to thank you so much for your time. You just flew up here, literally. Had the time to speak to us, which is just
here we are at 12:40 in the morning, and I got to get up at 8
in a couple hours.
Awesome,
brother.
Man.
Kenny, thank you so much. Drumline.net, Evil Ed, Kenny Aronoff, one of the greatest drummers of all time. Thank you very much.
Good stuff.